Thank you, Venerable Dondra. Thank you very much for inviting me. It's really a treat for me. When I told my family, I've been invited to go to Santa Fe. They were very so it's lovely for me to be here. I haven't been before, and I've only did San Francisco about 20 years ago for 2 weeks to visit somebody, so I know nothing really about the American way of life, which I'm learning a bit more of now. So anyway, so let's go with this. So I am aware some of you will be very experienced with doing deity practice, following sadhanas, doing pujas. When I came into the Dharma, there wasn't even a translation. You just did it all in Tibetan, and you just, it was a lovely, lovely thing. You got the feeling, actually. It was a wonderful feeling that you didn't know what you were talking about or doing or why, really. But somehow there was that instinctual relationship with the imagery and also the mantra and the chanting and the recitation. Now, I don't know how you've done it before, but I'm just going with how I've been used to doing it in recent years, let's say. And I did create with some lovely friends this PowerPoint presentation, which enables us to take verse by verse. And also it's a really handy teaching tool in that you can zone in on a particular aspect of the sadhana and discuss it. So I hope you enjoy that. Now, what I would like to say as an introduction to deity practice, and again, I know many of you will probably know more than I do about this, but I always teach to a beginner's mind. And we also all know, those of us who are experienced, that you can hear things again and again and do them again and again, and different things click. Your mind just opens up and you go, I must have heard that 100 times and I've never got that. Yeah. So hopefully together we'll learn together. So deity practice, when I was thinking of this as an introduction, and as I say, having come into it without really being introduced to it at all, you just turned up for Tara Puja, yeah? And you sat there and did Tara Puja. And then you went away none the wiser, but feeling different. Deity practice, if we really think about the psychology of it, and I'm coming at this from a Western perspective, really, because we don't do anything like this in the West historically. So it's very much an Eastern tradition that we've taken on. So I will be introducing the mythical and miraculous stories of Tara for us to relate to. But if we want to focus on the meaning of deity practice, what we are saying in Buddhism is that there are beings who have attained great levels of realizations, so are superior to us, and we can relate to them. But not only that, if we engage with them, we can become them through the practice. We can take on their qualities. Now, this is so different to our search for perfection in normal life. And that's what we're doing. We're human beings searching for perfection, and perfection are these deities. We know they're living outside of samsara. We know that they are hopefully in the not too distant future, we're going to meet them, come together with them, join with them, unify with them. But as human beings now in samsara, our search for perfection is through material things. So as a human being, we're going, well, what's going to make me happy? What's going to make me better? If I get this partner, that'll make me more whole. If I have this family, then that's the way that you become happy. If I have this house or this car or whatever it is, that is what human beings are doing in the world. We're all doing the same things, searching for happiness and perfection. But the spiritual practitioner knows that it's not external, it's within us. That's the psychology, if you like, of deity practice, isn't it? That we are, that's what I want. I want these qualities. I want to overcome all these barriers to perfection, because whatever I do, I'm not getting it. I'm not getting perfection. I'm happy for a while, and then I want something else. I'm happy for a while with that, and then I want something else. And life goes on and on and on. And then many of you who have reached ripe old ages like I have reached go, wow, you know, fancy getting to this age. And you've spent your whole life, and now you're surrounded by all this stuff, and you're going to die soon, and you can't take any of it with you. And you're no different. You're hardly any different. So you've accumulated all the externals, but the inside is still empty. And I'm not talking about the wisdom of emptiness. I'm talking about the hollowness of being that we can see around us everywhere, people struggling for this perfection of what am I meant to be as a human being. So we are truly blessed to come into contact with practices, deity practices, where we can, for a while, each day or regularly, just let me get in touch with how I can truly attain perfection. How am I going to follow the path to enlightenment without regularly coming inwards? Not just in meditation practice, but in a way which actually makes connection with those beings we aspire to be. So often in our meditation, we're working on our emotions, we're working on concepts like impermanence or wonderful, wonderful concepts that are very important. But unless there were the deity practices, we wouldn't be making that connection with our potential to become and manifest the qualities of the deity. So I'm sitting here with Tara over my shoulder. Yeah, she's sitting just there. And that's the image you have of her in the Bompa. She's one of the main deities. She is the main female deity in Tibetan Buddhism. And we're going to be talking about why she is, and doing the practice together. So that's really how I wanted to introduce this, because as Westerners, sometimes it's like, well, why am I, who is this? Do they exist? What are all these images that are around Tibetan gompas? Or they're not real. People are sort of bowing to these illusory beings. They're not. And I have got a lovely quotation here from Einstein. And go with me on this because it's a little bit difficult, but I think it sort of sums it up. Einstein talks about physical manifestation as matter whose vibration has been so lowered as to be perceptible to the senses. Matter is spirit reduced to the point of visibility. There is no matter. So in deity practice, we are generating and expanding a higher vibration of our energy. Yeah, that's amazing, isn't it? It's just, we are these spiritual beings, and we have all these wonderful facilities and this incredible resource, this history of practice that enables us to become enlightened. So, if we can recognize that all the externals of life are there for simple survival and comfort, not as a means to perfecting our lives or giving our lives meaning, then we can deeply engage with the mystical practices of meeting and becoming deities ourselves. We generate our purest forms, devoid of the destructive emotions as described in the 8 fears, which we'll be looking at later on. Our fears are merely insecurities that manifest as destructive emotions. We're all scared about who we are and who we're not and where we're going and what we're meant to be. There is an incredible confusion going on in our minds so much of the time. So we take refuge in a superior being who's been there and got the t-shirt, and practice becoming that energy form. And Einstein went on to say, energy cannot be created or destroyed. It can only be changed from one form to another. So making contact with a superior being and manifesting those qualities in ourselves is the path to perfection. So I think as Westerners, with our very rational approach sometimes to this magical practice, it's good to know, it's good to really check in with why we're doing pujas. What's it all about? Okay, so that's my little speech for the moment. So I wanted to go on about the story of Tara. Here we've got the image of her with the 21 Taras around her. And the structure of the course I'm going to be doing is I'm going to take a few slides and go into detail, and then we will speak them or chant them. A lot of it is in English, so it'll be spoken. But when we come to do the chanting of the 21 Taras, I do twice in English and once in Tibetan. And I'm not saying I do Tibetan brilliantly, but you get the feel, and you get the sound, the music of it. So let's start with the story of Tara. In Tibet, she's a very popular deity due to the miraculous nature of her birth. She's seen as the mother of all the Buddhas, embodying the active principle of compassion, because she helps all beings on the path to enlightenment. There's 2 stories about her, which are very interesting. Both are mystical. Whether they're mythical, I will leave that up to you. I have no idea. As they're meant to have taken place eons ago, it's quite hard to judge, apart from the fact that our teachers pass it on through this long, incredible lineage. So the first one is the story of Princess Jana Chandra, also known as Wisdom Moon. And eons ago, she served and revered Buddha Dumbubshibara. I didn't say that very well. And it translates to drum sound. So anyway, the Buddhas before. So one day, a monk approached her and said that if she really wanted to become enlightened, she needed to pray hard that she'd be born a man in her next life. So you could say she was the first feminist. I have no idea. But it is a wonderful story. And she was absolutely irate about this. She replied, obviously very calmly, not shouting or screaming, "There is no such thing as a man or woman, as there is no such thing as self. This bondage to male and female is hollow. I wish to serve the aims of sentient beings until this world is emptied out. And I will do that with nothing but the form of a woman." And she then took a vow that she would always manifest as a female. I think there's a discussion there, as how that came about. Incredible. But there you go. She is the role model for Tibetan Buddhists, especially women, that you don't have to be in a male form in order to become enlightened. So all that patriarchal and chauvinist teachings, you just go back to Tara for that verification. So that's one story about her. And then her miraculous birth, which you could say is a myth, took place when Avalokiteshvara went to Tibet to bring the Dharma to the many heathens there who lived very naughty lives, apparently. And after many eons of working for sentient beings, what patience! Working for sentient beings for many eons, he looked around and he was just so distraught because he felt he'd hardly made a dent in their behavior at all. They were still behaving badly, and he cried. He cried. And his teardrops are said to have fallen on the hot stones, dissipating, into nothingness. But as 2 tears fell to a lotus, was it 1 lotus or 2 lotus? 2 lotuses sprang up. And Tara manifested on each and vowed to help him. Please don't stop, we will help you. So we had green Tara on the right as the principle of active compassion, who would always leap up to help people overcome any obstacles in their life and overcome problems for them. And on the left was white Tara. And if you practice white Tara, it specifically helps you overcome illness and obstacles to your long life. So that's the story of how Tara came to be. Okay. So Tara can be practiced in many ways. And there are different kinds of yoga in which you can either see her as a deity out there who you pray to. And a lot of the population of Tibet would have done that. They would have seen her as an external being, much in the same way as a Christian, a Catholic would see the Virgin Mary. They would never think that they could become the Virgin Mary. Or too sinful. But for Tibetan people, the common Tibetan person would pray to Tara to help them specifically overcome problems, even with things like businesses. If they had a business, they would make sure it happened on a proper moon day, and they would get lots of monks in monasteries and nuns to do thousands and thousands of Tara practices in order to remove obstacles to that, so that their business to become successful. So not just for their spiritual well-being, but actually all the practices in Tibet at that time, you couldn't really separate external from internal practice. There's nothing wrong with having a good business if it's going to be done in a virtuous way and it's going to benefit people, and we've got to live. So that was the example. Kriya Yoga emphasizes the external devotion. Tara is a Buddha, and I will make offerings to her and request protection. And then Charya Yoga encourages both external and internal practices. Tara exists, and if I generate her qualities, I too can become like her. Okay. Okay. So I am trying now to go to the next. I'll do it like that. Okay. Okay. So we can do this together, and I'm going to explain through it. So we do it very slowly. We will get the chance to do Tara Puja without any interruption of talking, but for the moment, I really want to take it slowly so we know why we're doing it. Okay, so when we do the refuge prayer, we visualize the objects of refuge in the space in front of you, level with your head, the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. And you can do this any way you want. You can be looking behind at the shrine. You can close your eyes and visualize them. Make them real as possible. And you visualize these objects of refuge while you say the prayer. And then we dissolve at the end of the prayer, which is said 3 times in respect of Buddha, Dharma, Sangha. We dissolve the objects of refuge into light. They come down, crown of our head, into our heart, blessing our mind stream. We visualize them out here, and at the end, they float to the top of our head, dissolve into light, and come down into our heart. I really believe that they've done this. I believe it. I'm going to explain the 4 measurables now, and then we can do the whole thing together. So the 4 immeasurables, I'm actually doing a course on this on Sundays. They do deserve much discussion. But for the first line, when we say, may all sentient beings have happiness in its causes, we're generating love, loving kindness. And we want those beings to have all the temporal kind of things that they want to make them happy, but also the spiritual objects of refuge, finding spiritual teachings, finding the Dharma, finding spiritual friends that you know will bring them genuine happiness. That's your love for them. And then the second line, may all sentient beings be free from suffering and its causes. We're generating compassion. When we generate these, we generate from our heart. We send light out. And you can focus on a particular person, or a family, or a country, or the whole world, or an animal, or whatever. You know, make it meaningful and comfortable for yourself. We're saying all sentient beings, but you can have them kind of there, but also for yourself, you're focusing on a particular someone in need. And then the third one, never be separated from sorrowless bliss. This is the generation of empathic joy. It's kind of recognizing how wonderful it is when people don't suffer and you feel for them. You feel, they're not ill anymore, or they've just got some wonderful job, or whatever it is. But then you're also generating the idea that you know that genuine happiness, the genuine happiness will be through the Dharma. And then finally, equanimity. We're recognizing that we have strong attachments and aversions, and we're trying to whittle those away so that we regard all beings equally without judgment. Incredible quality. Okay, so when you take refuge, you also imagine next to you, that your family, your friends, your enemies, all sentient beings are gathered with you taking refuge. That's very powerful. So we have the male on the right, the left the female. You could have your mother, your father, even though they've passed on, you've got them there. All these beings that you have shared interdependent existence with, they're all taking refuge with you. The four immeasurables are the gateway to to developing bodhicitta. So we imbue our minds with these emotions and strengthen them through saying these prayers. So it's a continuation of the generation of bodhicitta from the prayer, the first prayer. May I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. And then when you finish those three, you go into the four immeasurables, developing that feeling. Okay, let's do that together. And please speak it with me. So generate the objects of refuge. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened, to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By my practice of giving and other perfections, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened, to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By my practice of giving and other perfections, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened, to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By my practice of giving and other perfections, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. We'll pause after each line while you meditate on that quality. May all sentient beings have happiness and its causes. And generate love from your heart. And see all the beings receiving that love and becoming happy. May all sentient beings be free from suffering and its causes. Generate compassion. May all sentient beings never be separated from sorrowless bliss. May all sentient beings abide in equanimity, free of bias, both greed and hatred. So I'm going to talk us through this. So then, having said those introductory prayers, we do the visualization. So you're in your ordinary form, and let's remember if okay. At your heart appears a white R made of light. These are seed syllables. And now, with Westerners doing the practice, they have just been turned into the sound, the R, so it's perfectly fine to visualize the AH as opposed to the original seed syllable. And this transforms into a white moon disk. So this is all happening at your heart. So you're imagining that changing into a little white moon disk, luminous moon disk. At its center appears a green syllable, Tam, the essence of Tara's blissful, omniscient mind of wisdom and compassion. And then standing clockwise around the edge of the moon appear the letters of the mantra, Ontara Chutare Churisuha, made of green light. So mantras, according to Lama Yeshe, are like listening to a subtle inner sound that has always inhabited our nervous system. We can say it specifically for different reasons: to increase our life energy, for creative energy. Tara is active compassion, so doing energy. For wisdom and personal knowledge, to eliminate diseases and hindrances, to pacify distractions, to dispel bad dreams. Om refers to the purified body, speech, and mind. And it's through these doors that she can benefit us. So Om signifies the unification of her Vajra body, speech, and mind. Tare gives protection from samsara. Tutare frees from the 8 outer and inner fears. So drowning, that's a fear, and it relates to the emotion of doubt. Outer fear is fire, and that relates to lust. Outer fear are thieves, and that relates to envy. Lions, greed. Snakes, hatred. Spirits, mistaken views. Prison, delusions. Elephants, pride. So that's quite interesting, isn't it? Because what we're seeing here is that our external experiences in samsara have all been created through our destructive emotions. And then they're manifested, and our fear becomes manifest as well. So with the sound of Tutare, Tara protects us from all fear. Ture, Tara will bestow on us what we ask for, and so may it be. So be it. It affirms the mantra. Basically, through the purity of your body, speech, and mind, please protect us from the fears of samsara, both outer and inner, and make it so that they no longer exist. Our request is answered. That's kind of the English translation. Yeah. Okay. So from the Tam, rainbow-colored light goes out in all directions and invokes Tara to appear in the space in front of you. So that's a nice description of her, but I'll give you a little bit more detail. So through the power of your inner refuge, you manifest at your heart, and Tara appears before you. You're surrounded by other sentient beings, your mother and father, family, friends, all surrounding you. So Tara is seated on a lotus and moon disk. So the lotus symbolizes spiritual purity and virtue. Yeah, the lotus grows out of the mud of samsara, and we all, that's very common knowledge that it is a symbol for Whatever we go through, we can emerge pure. The sun cushion represents wisdom. That's commonly used in deity practice. You will see them sitting on a sun, a lotus, a sun, and a moon cushion. The moon cushion is bodhicitta. Well, just as the crescent moon grows into a full moon, the initial loving kindness grows into the altruistic wish to benefit all beings. So it grows like the moon. That's not the right word, you know what I mean. There are also three symbols of the Mahayana path: renunciation from samsara and the lotus, wisdom and bodhicitta. Yeah. She's the color of the wind element, symbolizing her swift response to beings' needs. She gives refuge and fearlessness, bestows blessings and guidance, as in the mudras of her hands holding the lotus. The upala flower symbolizes her knowledge of the three times, past, present, and future, and you see it in a bud as well as full flower, half flower, full flower. And very unusually for a Buddha, she's got her right left extended. Instead of sitting in full lotus position, right legs extended, symbolizing that she's about to leap up and go into action and help us. Yeah. It's very much her energy. The thumb and the forefinger pressed together signifies the union of method and wisdom, bodhicitta and wisdom, while her other three fingers symbolize the three jewels. So you can see that these images are not just randomly there. Everything, and you could go into more detail, everything means something. So we can relate to that and intuitively manifest her energies, but it also sometimes helps to know this so that you can, rationally feel that you're engaging with something that is transforming you. Yeah? That's our Western mind, definitely. So there we go. So I think I've just about. Yes, so surrounding her in space are the 21 other Taras, as well as all the other Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. And surrounding you are all sentient beings, and you lead them in reciting the prayers and requests to Tara. That's what we go on to do, yeah? And you're leading them because, you are praying to become enlightened so that you can help all other beings become enlightened. So you visualize that. You're taking on that responsibility. So it's not as if you are taking on, I'm the boss and the big leader here, I'm the best. It's not that at all. It's an enormous responsibility. Think of Avalokiteshvara, eons working for others and then crying. Yeah. Okay. So 21 Taras are the energy in all its guises, peaceful and wrathful, which we will be going on to. Now, what I am worried about here is that when it is happening now. There you go. That's fine. So what I would like to do now with you is I will do the visualization simply, and you can visualize. Yeah, you can enjoy visualizing. Don't read it. Let me read it and you visualize. That's a nice way to do it. And then what we're going to do is we're going to do the 7-limb prayer. So I'll explain that now. So we recite the 7-limb prayer, and it's called 7 limbs because basically there are 7 activities you do. You prostrate, you make offerings, you confess, you rejoice, you request to remain, and you request to teach, and you dedicate the virtues. And that's kind of there in all sadhanas to show your respect and what you're actually wanting them to do. It's really hands folded time, 7-limb prayer. It's very, very profound, really, because You are not just, come on, Tara, just tell us how to do this. You are asking this incredible being, and you need to feel in your mind that this is special. This is extremely special and sacred and worthy. So the 7-limb prayer is solid in that way. And then we go on to the praises to the 21 Taras. So here I kind of stop teaching. Oh, we're okay. We're okay. I was getting a bit worried. So then we will carry on and do the practice. So please join with me when we do the praises to the 21 Taras, which I'll teach on next week. It's a chanting. Om I prostrate to the noble, transcendent liberator. And then there's chanting all English. And then I'm going to come back and do it Tibetan. Traditionally, you speed up 3 rounds. You get faster and faster. But I'll go quite slow for the Tibetan. Some of you will be new to it. And I can barely get my tongue around it. But you can get going with it, and don't worry if you make mistakes. Please excuse me for making mistakes. We all make mistakes. So we'll do the praises and then carry on to recite the mantra and chant it. So we'll kind of get on with the puja now, okay? So are we all right with that? So let's just go back now, because I'm going to take a sip of water, and you enjoy closing your eyes. And I'll try and so you are in your ordinary form, and at your heart appears a white R made of light. No bigger than your thumbnail. This transforms into a white moon disk, at whose center appears a green syllable Tam, the essence of Tara's blissful omniscient mind of wisdom and compassion. Standing clockwise around the edge of the moon appear the letters of the mantra. Om Tare Tutare Ture Suha, made of green light. From the Tam, rainbow-colored light goes out in all directions and invokes Tara to appear in the space in front of you. She's seated on a lotus, a moon disk. Her body is made of emerald green light, youthful and exquisitely beautiful. Her right hand on her right knee is in the gesture of giving refuge and fearlessness, and her left hand at her heart is in the gesture of refuge, holding the stem of an Utpala flower that blooms by her ear. Her left leg is drawn up, and her right leg is slightly extended. Her face is very beautiful, and she smiles with loving kindness at all sentient beings. Surrounding her in space are 21 other Taras, as well as all the other Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. And surrounding you are all sentient beings. You lead them in reciting the prayers and requests to Tara. Say the 7-limb prayer together. Reverently, I prostrate with my body, speech, and mind. and present clouds of every type of offering, actual and mentally transformed. I confess all my negative actions accumulated since beginningless time and rejoice in the virtues of all holy and ordinary beings. Please remain until cyclic existence ends and turn the wheel of Dharma for sentient beings. I dedicate the virtues created by myself and others to the great enlightenment. Om, I prostrate to the noble, transcendent liberator. Homage, Tara's swift, heroic, eyes like lightning instantaneous, sprung from opening stamens of the Lord of three worlds, tear-born lotus. Homage, she whose face combines 100 autumn moons at fullest, blazing with light rays resplendent as 1,000-star collection. Homage, golden blue, one lotus, water-born in hand adorned, giving effort, calm austerities, patience, meditation, her sphere. Homage, crown of Tathagatas, actions triumph without limit, relied on by conquerors' children, having reached every perfection. Homage filling with Jutare, whom desire direction and space, trampling with her feet the seven worlds, able to draw forth all beings. Homage worshipped by the All-Lords, Chakra, Agni, Brahma, Marut, honored by the hosts of spirits, corpse raisers, Gandharvas, Yakshas. Homage with her trad and pay sounds, destroying foes' magic diagrams, her feet pressing left out right in, blazing in a raging fire blaze. Homage to Re, very dreadful, destroyer of Mara's champions, she with frowning lotus visage, who is slayer of all enemies. Homage, she so joyous, radiant, crown emitting garlands of light, mirthful, laughing with Tutare, subjugating Mara's divas. Homage, she able to summon all earth guardians assembly, shaking, frowning with her home sign, saving from every misfortune. Homage, crown adorned with present, moon all ornaments most shining, Amitabha in her hair knot, sending out much light eternal. Homage, she mid wreath ablaze like eon ending fire abiding, right stretch, left bent, joy surrounds you, troops of enemies destroying. Homage, she who strikes the ground with her palm and with her foot beats it, scowling with the letter whom the seven levels she does conquer. Homage, happy, virtuous, peaceful, she whose field is peace nirvana, she endowed with Om and Soha, destroyer of the great evil. Homage, she with joy surrounded, tearing foes' bodies asunder, frees with hum and knowledge mantra, arrangement of the 10 letters. Homage to Re with seed letter, of the shape of syllable hum, by foot stamping shakes the 3 worlds, Meru, Mandara, and Vindhya. Homage holding in her hand the air-marked moon of Deva lake form, with twice spoken Tara and Pei, totally dispelling poison. Homage, she whom gods and their kings and the Kinnaras do honor, armored in all joyful splendor, she dispels bad dreams and conflicts. Homage, she whose 2 eyes bright with radiance of sun and full moon, with Taishara and Tutare, she dispels severe contagion. Homage, she whom gods and their kings and the Kinnaras do honor, armored in all joyful splendor, she dispels bad dreams and conflicts. Homage holding in her hand the hair-marked moon of Diva lake form, with twice spoken Tara Ampe, totally dispelling poison. Homage Tara with seed letter of the shape of syllable, by foot stamping shakes the three worlds, Meru, Mandara, and Vindhya. Homage she with joy surrounding, tearing foes' bodies asunder, frees with hum and knowledge mantra, arrangement of the 10 letters. Homage, happy, virtuous, peaceful, she whose field is peace nirvana, she endowed with Om and Soha, destroyer of the great evil. Homage, she who strikes the ground with her palm and with her foot beats it, scowling with a letter whom the 7 levels she does conquer. Homage she mid-wreath the blaze like eon ending fire abiding, right stretch left bent joy surrounds you, troops of enemies destroying. Homage crown adorned with present, moon all ornaments most shining, Amitabha in her hair knot, sending out much light eternal. Homage she able to summon all earth guardians assembly, shaking, frowning with her hum sign, saving from every misfortune. Homage she so joyous, radiant, crown emitting garlands of light, mirthful, laughing with tutare, subjugating Mara's divas. Homage at the heart her fingers, adorn her with 3 jewel mudra, light ray masses all excited, all directions wheels adorn her. Homage to the very dreadful, destroyer of Mara's champions, she with frowning lotus visage, who is slayer of all enemies. I'm getting stuck. I'm very sorry. Homage at the heart her fingers, adorn her with 3 jewel mudra, light ray masses all excited, all directions wheels adorn her. Homage see so joyous, radiant. Homage she so joyous, radiant, crown emitting garlands of light, mirthful, laughing with tutare, subjugating Mara's divas. Homage she able to summon all earth guardians assembly, shaking, frowning with her home sign, saving from every misfortune. Homage crown adorned with present, moon all ornaments most shining, Amitabha in her hair knot, sending out much light eternal. Homage she mid-wreath ablaze like eon ending fire abiding, right stretch left bent joy surrounds you, troops of enemies destroying. Homage she who strikes the ground with her palm and with her foot beats it, scowling with the letter whom the 7 levels she does conquer. Homage, happy, virtuous, peaceful, she whose field is peace nirvana, she endowed with Om and Soha, destroyer of the great evil. Homage she with joy surrounded, tearing foes' bodies asunder, frees with hum and knowledge mantra, arrangement of the 10 letters. Homage Ture with seed letter of the shape of syllable hum, by foot stamping shakes the 3 worlds, Meru, Mandara, and Vindhya. Homage holding in her hand the hair-marked moon of Diva lake form, with twice spoken Tara and Pei, totally dispelling poison. Homage she whom gods and their kings and the Kinaras do honor, armored in all joyful splendor, she dispels bad dreams and conflicts. Homage she whose 2 eyes bright with radiance of sun and full moon, with twice Hara and Tutara, she dispels severe contagion. Homage full of liberating power by the set of 3 natures, destroys hosts of spirits yakshas, and raise corpses supreme Ture, These praises with the root mantras and prostrations thus are 21. We're just going to do it once in Tibetan now. There's been some skipping in this, I apologize. So we'll take this quite slowly. Om Je Sunma Pakma Dromala Chakselo Chatsel Dromanyuma Pamo Jenny Keji Lotandrama Jiten Sungon Chuke Shelgi Gesa Jewale Ni Juma Chatsel Tunke Dawa Kuntu Gawayani Sekpe Jelma Kamaton Chatsot Panamki Raptuche We Urabama Chatsel Senyo Chuken Yeki Peme Chagninam Pagyama Jimpason Dukatu Shiwa Sopasam Tencho Yunima Chatsel Dejin Jepe Tuktor Tayenam Pagel Wachama Malu Paro Chimpatope Gewe Saki Shintu Tenma Chasel Tutara Hum Yige Dedang Chognat Gamna Gangma Jigten Tumbo Shapkinente Lupame Pagupanyuma Chasel Gyajimilat Sampa Lunglanat Sowan Chujema Jumporo Landrina Zamdang Nerjin So Chikin Jutema Chasel Chache Chakdampeki Barel Tukurap Tujoma Yekun Yekun Kabjignente Mebatu Pashin Tubama Chasel Tureji Pachempo Duki Pawonam Pajoma Chukesha Nitrat Nedense Drawo Tamche Malusama Chatsel Konsotsum Chokjagye Somo Tukanam Pagyama Malu Chukpi Kolo Gempe Rangi Aki Soknam Trukma Chatsel Drap to Gawajipe Ugen Uki Trengwa Pelma Sheparap She Tutarayi Duda Chintengwa Tutsema Chatsel Sashi Kongwe Soknam Tamche Gupanyu Maunima, Jonye Uwe Yige Humgi, Pompa Tamche Nampa Drolma, Chatsel Dabwe Dumbu Ugien, Gempa Tamche Shintu Bama, Repekune Upagmela, Tapa Shintu Urapsema, Chatsel Kepe Tamemeta, Bawe Tringwe Ununama, Yakam Yenkun Kune Koge, Drayi Pungni Nampajoma, Chatsel Zashinula Chagi, Tilgi Nunchi Shakti Duma, Chonye Chense Yige Humgi, Rimpadu Punam Nigema, Chatsel Demagamashima, Nyanyen Deshi Chayunima, Soha Ondayanda Nempe, Dipachin Chura Deep Nima, Chatsel Kunnekurab Gawe, Drayi Luni Nampagema, Yige Chupanak Nikupe, Rikpa Humla Dromanyema, Chatsel Zure Japti Depe, Umgi Pana Pasomnima, Rirap Mandara Dambeche, Jikten Sumnam Yuwanyema, Chatsel Ayit Soinampe, Rida Tachin Chananama, Tarani Jupeki Hige, Dugnama Rupani Selma, Chaselayit Sonam Gelpo, Ladamiam Chietenma, Kuneko Chagawajiki, Sodamilam Yempaselma, Chaselnima Dawagepe, Chenipola Rabzelma, Harani Jotutarayi, Shintu Dapurimne Selma, Chaselneni Sumnam Kupe, Jiwe Tutanyanta Denma, Dundang Rora Nutsing Chognam, Jompature Rap Chognima, Sawenya Kito Padidang, Chatsel Wanini Chusar Chi. I'm going to go through these because we had an error in the. We've definitely done them 3 times. So now we're going to do the visualization and recitation of the mantra. So again, you can relax, close your eyes. You visualize much radiant and blissful green light from the tam and mantra at Tara's heart. It streams into you and into the sentient beings surrounding you. This light purifies the imprints of all negative actions and dispels all sickness and harms from spirits. In addition, it brings inspiration and blessings from Tara, thus enabling you to realize the entire gradual path to enlightenment quickly. While doing the visualization, recite as much as possible Tara's peaceful mantra. I'm going to chant 21 times and then we'll go around and do 108. Okay? Please join in if you can. Tara tu re so. Tara tu re so ha. Tara tu re so ha. Tara tu re so ha. Tare 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 tu re so. Tare tu Onda du da du so. Onda du da du re so. Ah. Tara is delighted. Which comes to the crown of your head, dissolves into green light and absorbs down into you. And you become the essence of Tara's blissful and omniscient mind of wisdom and compassion. We'll simply say all these prayers together. O compassionate and venerable subduing goddess, may the infinite beings, including myself, soon purify the two obscurations and complete both collections, so that we may attain full enlightenment. For all my lives until I reach this stage, may I know the sublime happiness of humans and gods, so that I may become fully omniscient. Please pacify quickly all obstacles, spirits, obstructions, epidemics, diseases, and so forth, the various causes of untimely death, bad dreams and omens, the 8 fears and other afflictions, and make it so that they no longer exist. May the mundane and supramundane collections of all excellent, auspicious qualities and happiness increase and develop, and may all wishes be fulfilled naturally and effortlessly, without an exception. May I strive to realize and increase the sacred Dharma, accomplishing your stage and beholding your sublime face. May my understanding of emptiness and the precious dedicated heart increase like the moon waxing full. May I be reborn from an extremely beautiful and holy lotus in the joyous and noble mandala of the conqueror. May I attain whatever prophecy I receive in the presence of Amitabha, Buddha of infinite light. O deity, whom I have accomplished from previous lives, the enlightening influence of the 3 times Buddha, blue-green, 1 face and 2 arms, the swift pacifier, O mother holding an upala flower, may you be auspicious. Whatever your body, O mother of conquerors, whatever your retinue, lifespan or pure land, whatever your name, most noble and holy, may I and all others attain only these. By the forces of these praises and requests made to you, may all disease, poverty, fighting, and quarrels be calmed. May the precious Dharma and everything auspicious increase throughout the world and direction where I and all others dwell. Due to this merit, may I soon attain the state of Aryatara, that I may be able to liberate all sentient beings from their suffering. By whatever I have collected from venerating these subduing blessed ones, may all sentient beings without exception be born in Sukhavati, the joyful Pure Land. You who have abandoned all bodily defects and possess the signs and marks of a Buddha, you who have abandoned all defects of speech and possess a beautiful sparrow-like voice, you who have abandoned all defects of mind and see all the infinite objects of knowledge, O brilliant mother of auspicious glory, please bring your auspicious presence to us. Let's do this in Tibetan and English. You might know the chant. Chanchu Semcho Rinpoche Makye Panam Ke Gyuchi Yewanyampa Mipayang Gonnego Duvelbar Sho. May the Supreme Jewel Bodhicitta that has arisen arise and grow, and may that which has arisen not diminish, but increase more and more. Ganghui Rawe Koe Jinkam De and Dewa Maru Chuene Chere Sewan Tenzin Yatsohi Jape Site Badu Tengyu Shi. In the land encircled by snow mountains, you are the source of all happiness and good. All-powerful Chenrezig, Tenzin Gyatso, please remain until samsara ends. Toni Ninje Zundu Jupelam, Cheche Setze Gangshin Tendugun, Chagna Pemu Tenzin Gyatso La, Sorwa Depso Jedun Lundrup Shu. Saviour of the Snowland teachings and transmigratory beings, who makes the path that is unification of emptiness and compassion extremely clear, to the lotus holder Tenzin Gyatso I beseech, may all your holy wishes be spontaneously fulfilled. Tukchu Changxing Jamgung Gyewe Ten Sing Kyong Welpe Kunzu Du Bodze Johnson Kue Lek Manju Chupa Taso Duje Gundu Japten Shug. You who uphold the subduer's moral way, who serve as the bountiful bearer of all, sustaining, preserving, and spreading Manjunath's victorious doctrine, who masterfully accomplish magnificent prayers honoring the three jewels, Saviour of myself and others, your disciples, please, please live long. May I be at peace. May my heart remain open. May I awaken to the light of my own true nature. May I be healed. May I be a source of healing for all sentient beings. May I be healthy. May I be happy. May I be at ease. Thank you. So a few points to make there. 21 taras, we got a bit glitchy there, but we got to the Tibetan in the end. It skipped a few, a bit lost, so apologies for that. It's just getting used to doing this PowerPoint. It's very sensitive. So I put this on the website. I think it went up on the website, but if it didn't anyway, there's a nice little book here which you can get. It's a Happy Monks publication. It's called The Commentary on the Praise of the 21 Taras. Quite simple, by Venerable Geshe Dawo, but it does refer if you want to do any more research. And it's very nice on all the 21 taras, which you will see are quite complex and sometimes seem very weird and odd, and we'll be looking at next week, okay? Now, the other book I want to really strongly recommend is Chittamani Tara and the 21 Taras by Andy Weber, and he's done all the imagery here. Now, you may or may not be aware, but he teaches all Thangka painting. So he goes around the world and does this, and he's created these books. But what's so great about them is that there's some lovely explanations of the story of the mantra, with drawings of the mantra and the syllable seeds. You know, you've got the drawings of the mantra, and then you've got the tam, quite detailed. And then, of course, if you are artistic in any way, it's also a manual for drawing the taras, and goes into a great depth on what each of them mean. So this has been great. You'd have to get that through his, if you wanted to get it, you'd have to get it through andyweberstudios.com, but I do believe at the moment there's no international post from Britain. We're having a lovely time with our post. So anyway, that's for the future. If you wanted to have a look at those before you go, those of you who are here. Well, I'm just going to get back our lovely people who are online. If anybody's left, there they are. So that's my recommendations. Great to see you. Hope you enjoyed that. Is any feedback there on how is it with the PowerPoint view? Is that working okay? Yeah. Do you have Tara sadhanas here? Because we could have those next week as well. So we've got our hard copy in case any glitches happen or we get a bit lost, and then you can have a look. What about the recitation of the 21 taras? How are you finding that? Sorry, in Tibetan. What do you like to do? I'm just feedback. I'm not necessarily going to do it. Karen. Yes. Yes, both. Yeah. Yeah. It's a lovely rhythm to do it in Tibetan 3 times. And you kind of get in it, you almost go beyond what the words mean, and you do feel the energy. So what we were doing, it was a bit broken up. I normally do, a lot of people in England like the English. And then, especially if they don't have the background in Tibetan, and they don't actually come into contact with Tibetan teachers. But I think it's really vital that we have some experience of reciting Tibetan out of respect, and also because we're going to come into contact with those Tibetan teachers, and they'll be doing it in Tibetan, which is why at the end there's some, the Tibetan prayers to His Holiness and to Lama Zopa, for obvious reasons. They're Tibetan, yeah? So, and this is our tradition. So were you okay? Would you like to do it all 3 in Tibetan? Just some feedback. Once in English, how would you like it? You'd like it in Tibetan. 2 English, 1 Tibetan. Yeah, you like the 2.
1 English, 2 Tibetan.
Yes, yes.
I agree with the last person.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll stick to how I've been doing it, twice in English and Tibetan. But if we can get the rhythm going, and don't be afraid, as you can see, I think, you're reading Tibetan very quickly. And I know there are some incredible practitioners who've done long repeats on Tara, and they know it off by heart. I do not, don't pretend to do that. But you can certainly get up that energy together. So are there any sort of questions or any comments? We're kind of getting there really, but Karen. Oh, sorrow, less bliss. Yeah.
We didn't hear the
but it's an
question in
interesting
Zoom
point
land.
because it is a translation point, Karen. Sorrowless bliss. It's often may all beings never be separated from the happiness that is free from suffering.
Say that again.
May all beings never be separated from the happiness that is free from suffering. And that it's actually the generation of empathic joy.
Right, got it. Yeah. Okay.
But
What
here,
was the question? We didn't hear it in Zoom land.
yes, say the. Yeah, Karen just said, do you want to say it or shall I? Karen, I think it's Karen's first acquaintance with this, yeah? And she thought it said she didn't get sorrowful bliss. So then I explained, actually, it's sorrowless bliss. And now we're having a discussion about the many translations there are of that particular line and exactly what it means, yeah?
Yeah.
And I always feel that, is that okay? Who was that? Was that you? Did you hear
That
that
was-
now? You were
We did hear that. Thank you.
good. Okay. So I think that this empathic joy, I did use that description because I often relate to it as that feeling you have, you know, when, you know, somebody in your family is sick and then they're cured or they're better and you get that, oh, that wonderful, and you can feel it, that you're really happy that they're free from that suffering. Yeah. Now, so we can equate that on a conventional level, but if we also think of it as being, God, they're in samsara, they're doing this, they're doing that, it'd be amazing. Oh, they found the Dharma, or oh, that empathic joy for another being that they're finding the path. Yeah.
It's an odd joining of words, though.
Yeah, well, I guess the Tibetan, we're trying to translate it. Sorrowless bliss is, yeah, I agree.
There was,
I prefer, I have got more used to may all beings never be separated from the happiness that is free from suffering, but it's a mouthful, isn't it? Anybody else got another translation they know?
well, oh, there was another question about the two obstacles. One of the prayers referred to. What two obstacles?
Obstacles, well, we know what obstacles are.
Right.
You know,
but-
whatever happens in our life and then it doesn't happen. You know, you go for a job and you get it and then they phone and say, sorry, it's not there anymore. It's an obstacle. You think you're going the forward and then you're stopped. So there's obstacles, there are obstacles and hindrances, you know, are referred to, and this is specifically to our path to enlightenment. So for instance, we might get an obstacle like when I first came into contact with the Dharma, this is a little story before we finish. I was with husband number 2. We won't go into that. But anyway, we were trying to sell a house. We could not sell it. And our plan was to teach abroad. Yeah. We could not sell that house, obstacle after obstacle. And it was like, what is going on? Then we went on this course at Manjushri Institute for 3 weeks. Heads blown off, came back, decided that we wanted to move in. So gave up our jobs, house sold like that. Woo! That's dramatic. You see what I mean? Obstacles in our life which seem very difficult can actually be happening because we are engaging and opening into a spiritual path. It's extraordinary. Many stories from other people you hear and you think, what is going on? It's literally like the universe is blocking you. And then something right happens, the door's open. I'll be done for tonight. Thank you so much. So lovely to be here and meet you all, and you guys online too. Thank you so much, and hopefully see everybody again for Tara next week.